Łudzinika.
And he's now joined, he actually left Spenu, went over to KT. Spenu became Afreeca, so now he's kind of facing his old teammates, I suppose, that he was on, a lot of these players from Afreeca were on Spenu. So he's joined one of the biggest, the best teams out here, so it definitely does note how well he is doing and how much skill KT does see in him. I'm sure they want to develop him more as a player before...
Certainly. Now, Curious does not have the best results when it comes to Pro League, but he's very good in individual leagues. I think what we can take from that is that maybe he's not the guy who's going to win a best of one, but he's certainly the guy, if he has a lot of games to play back-to-back, and overall prove himself as a better player. So these guys might be pretty evenly matched. jjakji overall, though, not great results all around, at least in the current StarCraft 2.
Yeah, had a pretty disappointing last year of Pro League as well. Definitely did not really perform for Spenu, and now they're giving him another chance here on KT, of course. I think he's still got it in him, and I'm really curious to see how good is he actually going to get on this new team. New environment, new coach. Anything could happen for this guy.
Our map is now loading up. Again, it is going to be on Ulrena. And across the board, the casters have predicted that Curious is going to win this. No problem. But you know what? The results between these two, very close. jjakji may be able to pull through with an upset win. In the bottom left, in the purple, he is Curious. And in the upper left, in the red, jjakji.
So, Zergs have been having a little bit of trouble on this map due to the very short rush distance. If they're not careful, Terrans can kind of just walk over before you've got enough banelings if you're not playing safe enough. But some Zergs have used that to their advantage, of course, putting on pressure of their own to get over there. Also, Mutalisk, very strong on this map. If you can get them out, you can just fly right over to the Terran's base. It's very easy to harass back there. There's a lot of dead airspace, specifically to the bottom of jjakji's main.
We now see Curious taking a hatch over here. And let's see what jjakji's got in store for us. A lot of really good Terrans. What they've been doing on this map is they get one medevac with a tank. Well, they expand first, but then they get one medevac with a tank in it, and they start to fly around and harass the Zerg. Oh, yeah. Then the follow-up air unit they get is a Viking, and they just drive out all the Overlords that are used to spot. And, of course, with the tank medevac, they make sure they can control that tower. And finally, they end up with a very strong push that can surprise a Zerg, catching him off guard, and you end up doing a lot of damage.
Yeah. Before Mutalisks get out, I feel like that may just be one of the best. I mean, Legacy of the Void is not figured out by any means.
Right,
we still have a long way to go, but I feel like for right now, as a standard, I would not be unhappy if that became the standard because it's so good at getting full map control before Mutalisks are out. You clear out all the Overlords on this map with so much airspace. You get that tank out there to force the Zerg units back, as you were talking about. I think it's a fantastic build. And we do see a couple of Overlords already out in the map. One behind the natural, one coming towards the production. May want to sacrifice that one.
Reaper coming up now. And this is going to be the dance we've seen many times before. Where
spanning two expansions.
Yeah. And while the Reaper comes up here and just starts to try to gun down some of these Zerglings, will eventually back up now, coming over here to where he wants to be off the creep. And we have Link Speed coming here. Now let's keep our eyes peeled for what kind of tech the Terran goes for off of this gas. We already see the factory coming here. It's like 99% sure that we're going to see a starport after this. The question is, what kind of tech is it going to be? Sometimes people make Liberators. Sometimes they go for something a little bit different. They'll go for, medevacs or maybe even that one Viking first. Usually it's medevacs, though.
Yeah, or even Cloak Banshees, you know, it's
oh, yeah, that's true,
still
too.
around, but it's not as popular. There are more options, as you were saying, you know. So, looks like he's going to make some Hellions, possibly. Yeah, going to be Hellions coming out here. Thought it might have been Widow Mines, maybe go for a kind of a cheeky drop. I don't know why I'm using that word a lot more now.
It's become infectious.
You mentioned it that one time. You're like, yeah, Apollo says that. Now I've all of a sudden adopted that word. I have no idea why.
Some cheekiness.
The human brain
some
is
Tom
a strange
cheekery here in this SPL cast. Yeah,
And
sometimes words can get infectious, though.
Yeah.
Oh, Reaper not able to deny the third base. You might want to keep that actually so that if the drone tries to go there, the Reaper's actually standing on top of the build location.
Now, how many Hellions? We have 4 out right now. Looks like he's going to stop there, and he is going to go for that Cloak Banshee.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of different ways that people play on this map. I do think you always want to get the Viking, though, at least for the way I view Terran in this. I think it's really strong.
Maybe even after the Cloak Banshee. You know, you could easily get a Viking out. You're going to have all the necessary tech. And it will make even just your Banshee a bit stronger, will allow you to control the middle of the map a little bit better. So, I do agree with you. I think it wouldn't be a bad idea.
Third command center coming up here. This is an indicator that jjakji really wants us to go to the late game. Now, Zerg generally don't get to end the game right away unless they do something pretty obvious that we would see, you know, coming like a Nidus or some kind of a drop. So, as the game goes on, it's possible Curious just wants to play like a really ordinary late game ZVT.
Yeah, definitely is possible. I don't think he's made a Baneling Nest just yet. No, just got a Roach Warren for, I think it's just for safety. Just making 3 now, going back into drones, getting that Overseer just in case. But wouldn't be surprised to see a Spire come down here soon. Oh no, he's going to go straight into double Evo for now.
Yeah, double Evo it is. He just wants to minimize the amount of damage this Banshee can deal. 5 kills so far there.
Yeah, this has become a little bit more popular. Get the double Evo, get 1-1. Get that ranged upgrade, and just poke with Roach Ravager, and then eventually transition out of that into a more standard mix and get your Hive out.
We have the Liberator coming up here. No Viking yet, so jjakji just approaching this a different way. I'm really curious to see what we can learn from this. Immediately, the Spore Crawler is microed up here to the front, and the Liberator, you know, it's always funny to see Spore Crawler versus Liberator because it's such a clunky micro fight.
Yeah.
But he does get that away.
Banshee has 6 kills, by the way. Has done a pretty nice job. Not sure how many of those are drones. I'd say the majority of them so far. Curious, funnily enough, isn't spreading creep through the middle, through like the thin center of the map. He's going for the rocks instead. Very thick creep over there. And look at this, he's actually going to use the Liberator instead to take out these Overlords.
Yeah, and you know, this is the same idea, I guess. You could just drive all this stuff back and still do the harass. Yeah. Now, Curious is opening this up, telling everybody that he is very comfortable having a solid fight. Meanwhile, for Terran, there's going to be pushing down right now over here in that little express lane towards the second base here for Zerg.
Yeah, just going with Roach Ravager for now. Going to rely on those Corrosive Biles for that AoE. We are going to have Combat Shields about halfway done. He's going to have 1-1 with the Stim and some tanks coming out. So this is going to be a very strong push. I just wonder if Curious is going to have the necessary defenses against this.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure. I mean, one problem is that because it's such a narrow pathway, it's like a big bottleneck there. You can't get all your army out there to do damage. So if Zerg's on top of that, they can usually prevent people from getting across.
Yeah. One thing I wish we would have seen a little bit more is that tank micro, you know, just getting behind the rocks, shelling some of the Ravagers, getting at these Queens, you know, there's a lot of opportunities. It looks like he's focusing on other stuff like this drop. A lot of Curious's army is out of position.
Yeah, I agree with you. I personally like the tank play. I feel like every game you should just be getting tanks and trying to harass with them. You can do so much damage, as we've already seen from TY and Maru as well.
Especially against a Zerg that is going mainly Roach Ravager. You know, the Marine drop isn't going to necessarily be as strong as just poking at them. You can't fight one-on-one necessarily in the middle of the map. It's hard to drop. The Zerg has everywhere closed up with creep, so they can get very fast into that main to defend as well.
A scan here as the drones are being transferred. Zerg is taking a 4th base. This might be the longer game, maybe even the longest game we're going to cast on this map. Normally this game begins to end right around, like the 12-minute marker, but perhaps not this time around.
Yeah, jjakji listening. He's agreeing. Oh, he actually loses a tank. A bit of a miss micro there.
And he's going to be firing right on top of these bunkers, and they go down immediately as the Roach Ravager army continues to push forward, locking Terran potentially out of his 3rd base.
He doesn't have enough tanks here. He lost 2 of them before the fight even began. There's only 1 on the high ground. Now he's got to pull his SCVs. Look at how many roaches are coming across.
And he can easily shoot that corrosive bile, forcing the army to keep relocating as the roaches and ravagers do more and more damage. The Queen's in the back for the transfuses. SCVs pulled, and you can see now Curious coming up here and beginning to massacre the workers at the 3rd base.
Way too many ravagers in this mix. Not enough tanks for jjakji. Not getting the necessary unit composition to deal with this. You can see how little these Marines really do against this kind of upgraded 1-1 army of Roach Ravager, especially with Queens added in the mix. Looks like we did have a Liberator out there getting 14 kills.
14 kills. Qualifying that Liberator is now a serial killer on the map. Great job there. So, that is something that jjakji is juggling right now to try to maintain some kind of status in this game. However, when you look at the worker count, 55 to 35, it's pretty clear that jjakji is not in the lead.
Yeah, Curious now expanding to a 4th base here. jjakji continuing to try to go for these drops. Let's hope his micro's a little bit better this time.
He's got to be very careful with these tanks.
Yeah, does save 2 of them. Does get some nice micro there. He's got 3 tanks on the high ground now. This should be a better position, but still a very strong Zerg army.
Yeah, he's just starting to come forward here, and these tanks are going down so quickly, as you can see. But the softened up Zerg army does have to back up, throwing some corrosive bile so he can keep doing damage over here at the 3rd. I think Curious might end up choking out jjakji in this game. jjakji's not going to be able to get his 3rd base mining, and therefore can't get as big of an army as Curious, who's already comfortably mining off a multitude of bases down there at the south.
Yeah, it's getting very close. I'm not sure if Curious is going to be able to end the game right now, and it's getting kind of scary because jjakji is about to finish up 2-2. Only now is Curious going for the +2 attack. He was really banking on that doing a lot of damage, and he has done a lot of damage, but you can't let this game run away from him. You have to continue with the pressure and keep denying that 3rd base mining.
Something else you might want to watch for is that the command center's at half health, and with corrosive bile, if there aren't SCVs there to help, you can just gun that down over time.
Yeah.
And losing the 3rd command center would probably cause jjakji to inevitably lose the game.
Yeah. Kind of funny, Curious staying on this composition for this long. Once jjakji does eventually secure 3 bases, there are going to be tons of tanks just flying around just like this. You're going to have some answer to this. Looks like Curious's answer might just be an attack.
Curious is going to come up now. We do have a push over here at the bottom. Excuse me, a drop and a push, yeah. But I think actually just the rally point is going to be too much, and this is a smart play. Because there are no medevacs here, he can actually run up there and just kill off these tanks, no problem.
Yeah, it looks like Curious might lose that 4th base, but it may just not matter. He's running up the main ramp here. That 1 tank is just barely going to live.
Corrosive bile raining down now on some of those SCVs, and Zerg in the main. This means Terran is going to have to come back and try to save his base.
It looks like he's trying to desperately. Some tanks coming back. And maybe a saving grace, but...
Well, I think what actually Curious is going to do is just avoid contact. He's just going to micro the Roaches and Ravagers away from this base here. And by the way, because he's pulled back, the 2nd attack can come up here right now for Curious. And I think this game is going to end tying this up 1-1 with the Freaks against the KT Rollster.
Yeah, looks like it should be that way. Some Roaches coming across the map now. The rest of those tanks still trying to fly around and micro a bit, but look at the supply. Down to 55 now is jjakji.
Yeah, he's going to come up here once again, just continuing to do so much damage. And it's just these tanks. There's nothing... I mean, you can run these tanks around all day. It's not going to stop your buildings from burning down and you eventually dying here.
And you have Curious coming in with the Ravagers, just trying to finish this off. Looks like jjakji is staying in the game. He still has 3rd base mining, so I guess that's why, but...
Okay, jjakji, it's over, man.
He's got no production.
Yeah, this is over. Nicely done here. As you can see, this game is finished. I mean, Curious has the joy of destroying the rest of the buildings, I guess. But
it's kind of nice for Curious. He's like, okay, I want it.
All right, jjakji, are you trying to outdo Marine King from 2012 here? You're out of this game.
Trying to re-land his starport over here on top of some ridges.
And re-mine with his 9 SCVs, but this game is basically done as Curious is going to be able to flood into the final outpost over here at the third base, but in reality, the very last base remaining.
Yeah, I think Curious is like, okay, this is weird. Why hasn't he left? Does he have some kind of hidden base? Maybe I should just take it safe, regroup a bit, make some Ravagers at least.
It's kind of weird, actually, because we know he doesn't. We're like omnipotent in this game because we have vision of everything. So we know, in fact, this game is going to end. And even if the tanks stay alive, the SCVs will not. Then that will ultimately cost him this game.
Yeah, loses a tank there. He's trying to micro these 2 tanks, but...
Okay,
wow.
jjakji.
Wow. Look at this. Curious is like, what, you tried to do that?
jjakji's
really?
Like, damn, that's what cost me the game, was that creep at the island. Okay, so Curious crushing through jjakji and balancing this score out.
Yeah, very nicely done. Kind of what everybody was expecting. Able to tie this one up. Curious. A very nice style there. Just getting 1-1 and putting on massive amounts of pressure with just Roach Ravager. It was enough. He was allowed to get like 66 drones, I think it was, very early on in the game. He had a massive economy on 3 base, had a 4th base coming up, and he's like, okay, I can basically infinitely make these units and just eventually kill you.
Cool game so far. I'm digging it. We're going to have to see. It's basically a best of 3 now between these 2 teams.
Yeah. I wish jjakji had done a little bit more, been a bit more active with the tanks and the medevacs earlier on in the game, and had some more tanks back. I've been more aware of where his tanks were on the map just to prepare for that. It seemed like he had no idea Curious was going to attack him there. He's like, you're actually coming across. Oh, I lost 2 tanks. I don't know what I'm going to do now. So.
Guys, get out there. We're going to be going to a short break, but do tell your friends to join us here. This is going to be the big match of the night coming up next. It's going to be Alive against Zest.
Ooh.
And, as good as Zest is, and historically how strong he is, Alive is looking better than he's ever looked in his entire life.
Yeah, this may just be his prime Tasteless.
Legacy of the Void may be his expansion. We're going to go to a short break. When we come back, our next match here with the Afreeca Freaks against KT Rolster.